Used to imagine that the human rights to water and sanitation contains freedom and entitlement, include access to sufficient, safe, accessible, acceptable, and affordable water for personal and domestic uses. Everybody deserves and has the same rights, until I have learned from a settlement community in Battambang, Cambodia, in which people in a new resettlement site have said that their situation is dire. Sometimes there have been no water for almost 8 months, and they have no choice but to go get the water from a nearby pond.
Women and girls often face particular barriers in their access to water and sanitation, which are exacerbated in humanitarian crises, and that they shoulder the main burden of collecting household water in many parts of the world, which restricts their time for other activities such as education, earning incomes, and raising their family. In fact, the right to sanitation and water are guaranteed as implicit components of the right to an adequate standard of living as stipulated in Article 11 of the International Covenant on Economics, Social and Cultural Rights. They can be specified by a number of criteria. Availability. The human rights to water entitles everyone to sufficient and continuous water for personal and domestic uses. Likewise, a sufficient number of sanitation facilities have to be available. Quality. Water has to be safe for consumption and other personal uses so that it presents no threat to human health. Sanitation facilities must be hygienically and technically safe to use. To ensure hygiene, access to water for cleansing and hand washing critical times is essential. Acceptability. Sanitation facilities in particular have to be culturally acceptable. This will often require gender-specific facilities constructed in a way that ensures privacy and dignity. Accessibility. Water and sanitation services must be accessible to everyone within or in the immediate vicinity of household, health, and educational institution, public institution, and workplace. Physical security must not be threatened when accessing facilities. Affordability. The price of sanitation and water services must be affordable for all without compromising the ability to pay for other essential necessities guaranteed by the human rights, such as food, housing, and healthcare.
The government have an obligation to protect, respect, and fulfill the rights by using all the available resources to progressively realize the rights. In order to respect the rights, the government must not prevent people from accessing to water and sanitation. For example, by interfering with customary and traditional arrangements without providing acceptable alternatives. With regards to protect, the government are obliged to ensure that private individual or group do not prevent anyone from accessing safe water and sanitation, such as charging excessively for the use of toilets.
To wrap it all up, the human rights to water and sanitation ensures availability, quality, accessibility, affordability, and acceptability. But the fulfillment of the rights to water and sanitation requires a broad range and approaches beyond the simple construction of physical facilities, which include social mobilization, education and training, challenging existing norms, and discriminatory practices. As has been shown above, the most effective and sustainable approaches put the individuals and the household at the center of development, but link strongly with other partners like the state at local, regional, and national levels, and also services providers like the CSO, NGOs, and other actors.